Good evening, everybody. Welcome to UpStart Live. Today's session is on growth hacking, and the topic is growth hacking is dead. So we have our speaker today. He's Udayan Walvekar. He's the co-founder of GrowthX. So today's session is a part of PayU's ongoing series that is UpStart. So UpStart and another series that PayU does is CodeUp. So UpStart and CodeUp is a series that we do where we bring in subject matter experts to talk about various topics, maybe marketing, maybe technology when it comes to CodeUp and otherwise. So um, subject matter experts like Udayan today come as a part of this session, and they talk about various daily operation related conversations for startups, SMBs, and others. So um, so yes, PayU, as you all know, is one of the leading payment service providers. We are across sectors like airlines, SMB, and of course the startup community. And today's session is on growth hacking, and we are just going to be starting in a bit. We have UD with us, so yes. So I hope everybody is safe and doing well. I hope everybody is due for their second vaccine. Yeah, I know the things are not that great right now. We are looking at the third wave; it's incoming. So I just hope things are better on your end. We are just waiting for UD to join in, and then we will go live. But otherwise, the questions are open. You can drop in your questions in the comment box. So that's where we will be picking up your questions. UD will be able to answer them after 35 minutes. So first 35 minutes, we are going to be focusing on the presentation. And after that, we will be going on to the session as such. And we are going to be discussing various topics. We are going to be taking examples today, so you can bring up any question that you need answered by UD, and he will be picking that up for you. So I think we should be able to go live right now. And yes, like I told you, it's going to be 35 minutes of presentation and another 25 minutes of a normal Q&A session. So UD, could you please come up right now? Are you able to hear us? Hey, yes, we can
Hey
hear you.
everyone, how's it going? Good evening. I can't see your faces, unfortunately, on the stream, so I'm just assuming everyone is okay, right? Everyone's taking their second doses. I just got mine done yesterday, so just 15 days, and then, hopefully we are at all. The finish line is pretty close to all the things that are going on over here right now, right? Awesome. All right, Manasa, let me know when we have folks in. I think 5:05. We can probably begin in a minute or so. Cool.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
absolutely.
All right.
Uh,
Just so that everyone knows, I'm using this software for the first time. If you are already on live, just say hi or something on the chat so that I know something is going on and I'm not just talking to myself. Just say if I think some folks might were registering from GrowthX itself, so that's good to see. All right, Saikat. I hope I pronounced your name not too bad. But yeah, just in a minute, folks, we will be going live, right?
a lot of people. There's a lot of people on the live, and I think they
Hey,
can hear us
Swapnil,
pretty
what's
well.
up,
I
man?
see some of their
So many
comments.
familiar faces. Nice. Hey, Abhishek. Hey, Swapnil. Hey, Rajneesh. Hey, Sagar. Good to see everyone over here. It's awesome. Awesome.
Let me know when you want me to bring up your presentation, UD, and then we will go ahead.
Yeah, I think you can bring in my presentation now.
Yes, done. I'm bringing that up, and then over to you.
Hey Karan, interesting that you want to learn about growth hacking when the topic is growth hacking is dead. No, but hopefully we come about from this hour with a lot of good insights, right? So that's the objective. Cool. All right. Sorry for that. All right, folks. I think we can begin. Yeah. Cool. So growth hacking is dead. The topic is pretty self-explanatory, right? But what I definitely want to clear out from the beginning is growth isn't, right? Growth hacking is definitely dead, but growth, there's no killing growth, right? uh, s- Growth is basically oxygen for startups, and you can't really kill growth. The way you kind of get growth, though, that is definitely not hacking. And this is my perspective around why this is there, my experiences in the last 8 years or so, right? So for folks who don't know me and the folks who are just jumping inside, just a very small brief about me, right? So I started my growth journey about 8 years ago, and I had the privilege, or I was lucky, I would say. I was a person who could also build and sell. So I started off in a very traditional company, by the way, and I was doing a side hustle where I was creating these web apps and mobile apps, nothing too fancy. I wasn't like a crazy developer. But I was building and selling at the same time. So I would build these apps and I was drive growth for them, right? And that's when my first taste for growth came, long before growth was considered cool, right? Then after that, I went for a year in San Francisco and I was consulting various startups, from Series A, Series B. They were health tech, fintech. Two of them are now unicorns, by the way. Unfortunately, don't have too much money stocks in them. Uh, right. Post that, I was the first growth PM at Sokrati. For folks who don't know Sokrati is the largest ad agency in India. They had their own product, and my job, essentially, to be very honest, was, hey, there's a sales team of 9 people. How can we completely eradicate that and have a self-serve auto engine of acquisition for us, right? I was able to successfully replace the 9-member sales team. Don't worry though, the sales team wasn't fired; they were just replaced into customer success. You know how it goes. Um, Secondly, my latest stint has been at Razorpay. I was the first growth product manager there. I've seen it all at Razorpay, right? I've seen it from one business unit, right? Just the payments one that we know, from a lakh merchants to going to 25 lakh merchants plus, right? And now 3 business lines with Razorpay payments, capital, business banking, right? I've been able to build a full stack growth team there, and more about that later. Yeah. And I'm also the co-founder at GrowthX. But what's that? I just spend a very quick 10 seconds on GrowthX. So GrowthX, essentially, it's a growth university for the future, right? Um, Abhishek and have both started GrowthX. We have the top folks in Cred, Udan, Kotak, Google, Oyo, you name it, you got it. If it's in the Indian ecosystem, they're part of GrowthX, right? Essentially, folks come here to accelerate either their career or their companies. And we are basically on a mission to create growth teams, but with the right approach towards product growth. Yeah, you can learn more about it on growthx.club, but let's move on. Yeah, cool. All right. Uh, I have given some good brief about myself. I want to understand about you. So in the chats, right? Uh, if you can like just put in what do you work as, right? Product management. Are you a founder? Are you in marketing? Are you in analytics? I don't want to know your title. I just want to understand who are the people I'm talking to today, right? So that I understand where you folks are coming from when you look at growth. So waiting for it in the chats, folks. Just let me know. Are you a founder? Are you in marketing? Are you in product management? Are you in analytics, design, tech? I just want to get a good brief. Just put your answers in the chat box, by the way. We can't talk, obviously, in a live session.
We are waiting for the comments to come in. Some say product, some say analytics, some say
Okay. So
marketing,
that's interesting.
partnership,
Marketing,
digital
product
marketing,
management,
account
partnerships.
management.
Yep. Marketing, interesting.
Yes, yes.
Jigesh.
Again, a lot of analytics and marketing folks I see.
Oh, we have Ritesh, who's a founder. That's great. We have some founders, we have some marketing folks in the house, we have some sales folks as well, but a large chunk of marketing folks coming in, right? That's
Yes.
interesting, very interesting. Awesome, folks. Digital marketing, Anju, thank you. All right, very interesting. We have some technology consultants too. All right, cool, awesome. So I have some idea. I think a lot of people are coming from marketing and some from product and founders, right? All right, what stage is your startup in, right? So growth obviously differs from product market fit to early scaling to mature scaling. I just want one word answers on, are you finding product market fit? Are you in your early scaling stage, or are you in your mature scaling stage? So finding product market fit means, hey, you're acquiring customers, but you don't have a lot of good retention. Early scaling is essentially you have decent retention, and now you're like, doubling down on that acquisition channel, right? And mature scaling is you're a market leader, and you're now trying to monopolize certain segments of the market that you don't have complete dominance over, right? All right. Early scaling, interesting. Early scaling, everyone has decent retention. That's great. That's great to see. I would love everyone to put in their chats, by the way. This is just super helpful for me to, understand what you folks are going through, and then kind of, take you folks the deck at least in your context, right? All right. Kamalika says mature scaling stage. Asli says soon to be live. All the best, Asli, for your product launch. Early scaling, a lot of early scaling folks. Mm-hmm. All right. All right, cool. So I think a large chunk of you, I'm assuming, are from early scaling stage, right? That's great. Cool. And the last question, right? I promise I'm going to talk. I'm not going to ask any more questions, right? Do you have a dedicated growth team in your startup right now? And when I mean growth team, I don't mean like you have performance marketing team. That's it. And there's nothing else apart from performance marketing team. If you have performance plus product plus some other team together, then yes. But yes, do you have a dedicated growth team or not? Just say yes or no. I'm just expecting either a yes or a no.
A few no's coming in,
Mm-hmm.
UD. Yes, yes. A lot of no's, not just a few, a lot of
Yeah,
them.
lot of no's. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Swapnil says yes. Oh yes, Swapnil from Razorpay. um, cool. No. Ritesh says yes. Very interesting, Ritesh. Ritesh is probably the founder and the growth person. I'm pretty sure. That's how early stage is, right? Cool. Awesome. All right. So I think most of you folks don't have a dedicated team, and that is amazing. That's great. And I'm not very surprised as well, right? Hopefully by the end of the session, we get like a decent understanding of, growth teams, and we can set them up properly, right? Cool. So what to expect in 16 minutes, right? We're going to talk about growth hacking. Why the beep? Is it so popular? Second, why should we move away from hacking? What's my case, and why do I think that we should move away from growth hacking? Third, we're going to look at what is growth then? If it's not hacking, UD, what is growth? I thought growth is hacking. Third is building a growth team, right? We're going to spend about 10 minutes, and then I would love to get questions around growth. And the format in which I will take questions is, there are a lot of people on this call right now, right? And you would want to keep the questions as crisp as possible. So give me one line on context, one line on a problem statement, and one line on if you've done anything about it, right? That just helps me with the question and also helps everyone on the call to get the most value from it. Yeah, cool. All right, so let's talk about growth hacking. Why is it so popular? Yeah. All right. So the most popular growth hacks. So why did growth hacks become popular in the first place? We all remember Hotmail, right? The email giant that got bought from Microsoft, right? And they had a simple growth hack. One employee decided that in every email signature, they would put, I love you, get your free email at Hotmail. And the Hotmail wall part, it was interlinked. I mean, sorry, hyperlinked, and you would just go and sign up. This simple hack for Hotmail didn't get them 1,000 users or 10,000 users, right? They got a whopping 12 million users total, out of which a massive 2.5 million came from that signature. Let me repeat, 2.5 million users came from an email signature back when the entire internet had 70 million users. Yeah, let that sink in. 1/6. Imagine you launch something and 1/6 of the entire internet population is yours because of something that you launched, right? Incredible, right? And that's why it's so popular, because these are just insane numbers, right? Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Airbnb and Craigslist. So for folks who don't know, when Airbnb launched, it was super small. Craigslist is basically an online place for listing everything from services to, like, it's like an urban clap plus like a renting portal that Facebook groups has today, everything, right? And it was very popular. It was a large player. What Airbnb's engineers figured out is, without the use of any API, they can actually post on Craigslist through Airbnb. So every time you came on Airbnb and posted something, you also had the opportunity to post on Craigslist directly, right? And this was without any API. They just figured out a URL that they could exploit, right? So you would post on Craigslist, you would put in all your details, and by the next step, everything is posted on Craigslist as well. So this simple hack also got them a lot of users, right? Now, why should we move away from hacking? Yeah. Now, these are great examples, Judy. Can you teach us more on, like, hacking? Why are we moving away from 12 million users? What the hell's going on, right? I thought this is about growth hacking is dead. So these hacks will not work for you, me, Manasa, Saikrit, Karan, for a LinkedIn user who's unknown right now, Shushma, right, Swapnil. And that's because of a lot of reasons. First of all, the hacks, tips, tricks, gyan on the internet is very attractive for two reasons. One is that it makes us feel good, right? It makes us feel full. But at the end of the day, it's not very useful. For example, if you've ever tried to lose weight, if you've ever tried to lose weight, one of things, are not going to help you lose weight just by skipping one meal. You need to do it day in, day out. You need to have a plan. You need to have the right diet. You need to have the right exercise and all of those things to actually lose weight, right? And hacks are essentially, for me, hacks are like potato chips. They make you feel good and full, but makes you feel horrible later. It gives you a big guilt trip, right? That's what hacks are for me, right? And hacks by definition are short term in nature. If you get a hack, even these hacks that I spoke about, right, they didn't last forever, right? They're very short term in nature. Your business is not going to grow by short term stuff, right? It's only going to make you feel good about that week in work or that month in work. If you really want to push your company ahead, you need to stay away from hacks. Second, they don't have the same effect when repeated. Most of these hacks, you can't really repeat them. Like, for example, the signature has been used by multiple tools now, right? We see the signatures sent via Superhuman and sent via these. Now, they don't work at the same level they did the first time. So just one-off cases. Yeah. Thirdly, hacks are nutritious. I just said that they're like potato chips. The potato chips will make me feel good, but it'll help. It's not nutritious at all. It will not give me any nutrition, right? Your company needs nutrition. Yeah. Cool. All right. And the worst is these hacks are the rarest of moonshots, right? They are one in a million. If you're putting all your eggs in the basket about growing your company, about one in a million, all the best. You probably will be successful, or 99.99% you won't, right? Now, it's on you where you want to focus, right? Cool. So, how to look at growth then, Yudi? If this is okay, we get it. We get hacking is bad. Okay, you got us. First of all, you need to adopt an org-wide growth strategy instead, right? That's the first thing you want to move away from hacks. And before I talk about what growth is, I want to talk about the biggest myth in startups. Anyone wants to take a crack at the biggest myth in startups about growth? Obviously, otherwise a lot of random myths. If you have some idea, just put it in the comments, and if you do, I'll just give your name a shout out, right? And the biggest myth in startups about growth is essentially a lone wolf, aka a growth hacker, will come in Abracadabra, your startup is scaled. Your startup is like done. You're growing like crazy now, right? That's just never gonna happen. And Rajneesh says growth is paid marketing. That's a good one. Rajneesh, that's probably the second myth for sure. Right? Very well put. And this is what I see today in general. Founders, instead of trying to get to product market fit, they're looking at growth hackers because they're like magically going to solve all the problems, right? Investor problems, employee problems, everything. I get traction, I get everything, right? And there are a lot of growth hackers today, self-branded growth gurus and hackers on online, and like, hey, hire me. I'm a growth hacker. Here's what's going to happen. You hire them, they'll say that hey, all your dreams are gonna come true, and you're gonna be like, okay, done, shut up and take my money, let's do this. And after a month or so, this is basically you looking at the dashboards, be like, hey, hold on a second, I don't see any growth, right? You're gonna be this woman and can't see anything. Stay away from this. This is my honest opinion in whatever 8-9 years of experience that I've had, right? Stop looking for a superhero to solve growth. And it's probably not even the hacker's fault in general. You can't have one single person to solve growth. Why? Let's take a sneak peek into what real growth is, right? I'm just going to move away to a whimsical file now. Yeah. Cool. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Is this better? Okay. 1 second, 150%. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's talk about product and growth. What all are the different things that drive growth in a company, right? Let's first understand that. And this is what growth is. So shipping a product, there are 4 things in shipping a product. You're understanding the pain point, you're validating the scale of that problem, and you're then finding out the solutioning, you're building an MVP, and then you're repeating, right? That's how you ship a product. How do you find the second step you do is you find product market fit, right? You launch the product, you get feedback, you reiterate, launch until you have a strong word of mouth or you have a flattened retention curve, right? Once you have product market fit, product and growth levers are these, right? What does growing the product mean? It means growing revenue. Yeah? Growing revenue is a function of 2 things: number of paying customers and lifetime value per user. Your number of paying customers is essentially coming from, total users and the percentages of those users becoming paid customers. You're with me? Total users is a function of new users, existing and churned. Yeah. Your new users are going to come from 2 things. One is acquiring new users and making sure that you onboard them. Acquisition is going to come about from deep diving into channels, right? You're going to look at organic content, referral, ads, product hoods. You're going to have a decision framework around how do I scale this channel on the basis of cost, effort, or the time that it's going to take, impact, and flexibility. You're going to then onboard their users. First, you're going to understand the intent, you're going to create the onboarding energy, and you're going to making sure that they hit that aha moment. Third, for existing users, the ones that are already with you, you're going to engage your new customers, right? First, the new customer that have just come in, you're not going to treat your old customers and your new customers the same way. You don't treat a friend that you just made 1 week before and a school friend the same way, right? You're not going to tell all your secrets to that new friend. So for your new customers, you're going to onboard them in a very different way. And you're going to also treat that churn in a very different way, right? And engaging old customers is all about customer segmentation. How are you going to segment them according to the persona, the demographics, what's their job to be done, what are the use cases, how frequent are those use cases, do they have awareness about your product, and external nudges, right? That's how you essentially, these are the levers for engaging older cohorts. And for churned users, first of all, you need to define what your retention metric is, right? And then the most important part, you're going to jump into the why of a user churn, right? You're going to solve for the why. The why is going to be solved either by product improvement, service improvement. You're going to fix for perceived value. You're going to fix for top of the mind awareness. Sometimes some apps are great, but I just use them once and I forget about them, right? You're going to have solve for organic triggers, you're going to solve for past actions, you're going to understand their persona, and then you're going to reach out to them with either a pitch, copy and design, and the right channel. Yes, this is just churn. Now let's talk about lifetime value. We just spoke about the first lever of growth, right? Let's talk about lifetime value of a customer. It's a function of two things. What's the average order value and what are the number of orders per user? The average order value is going to come from the use case, which is either a primary or an infrequent one, trust on the platform, product discovery, recommendations, right? I'm not going to keep going on, but you get the idea what I'm trying to say, right? Primary and infrequent. Do you honestly believe that this is a function of growth hacking? This is how a company grows. These are the different levers that you have. It's not a one person's job, and nor is it going to be found by hacking. I probably even forgot to open this part up. So yeah, it's just too many things to kind of look at around monetization as well. Cool. So the point that I was trying to make is this is essentially growth. This is product and growth. And when you have a systematic approach and a structured way to solve for this in your company, and only then are you going to grow. Right? It's not going to come by putting a banner up or a pop-up up and getting some leads in, right? It's just not possible. You're just going to dig your own grave. Yeah. Cool. So let's come back to the deck, right? Just a breather to absorb whatever I was just giving a lot of stuff about growth about. Just a quick breather, right? And I want to talk very simply about building a growth team, because as you can see, the different things across acquisition, onboarding, engagement, retention, monetization is so large that you can't really you can't do it via hacking. And that's why hacking is dead, right? So you don't need a hacker, you need a growth team. Okay. So growth team essentially is what? Now, essentially growth team, a typical growth team can be different, but this is prima what I have seen the core pillars of a growth team being, right? Number one, it's the product manager or the growth lead, right? They're the people who will be, and we'll go deep diving into each person, by the way, and talk about them. Then you have a T-shaped marketer, you have an engineer, you have a full stack engineer, you have a designer and product analyst. In my experience, every single growth team I've had needs these 5 pillars. And more so, you need to add and remove people according to your industry. Now, what does that mean? If I'm in a growth team at Dunzo, growth is actually going to be the delivery experience, meaning how fast I'm getting the delivery, and not more so on the app. The app is one part of it. If I have the best experience on the app, but nothing is getting really shipped to me, it's going to be bad. So operations, your head of operations or your operations head has to be part of the growth team. And that's essentially how it is. If you're part of Uber and you need to have your demand supply team with you, right? If you are in a compliance heavily regulated area, you need to have that team in your growth team. Correct? So you need to add and subtract. But let's talk about the 5 pillars. Cool? All right. So PM and growth lead. The main job is prioritization of the growth roadmap. Out of all the things that we need to do, what are we going to prioritize? How are they going to keep the team and everyone across the company at sync with what we are doing? Right. Second, they understand the different tech stacks and how they work. I don't mean to say that the product manager or the growth lead should be able to code in React or Angular or Svelte or any of those languages, but they need to understand what tech stacks you use, what are the nuances of them, right? Third, they're highly data driven, but this is very critical. They're not obsessed with data, right? You need a certain amount of judgment to be taken in the growth team when 99% of your decisions definitely on data, but you're not obsessed with it. Unless it's qualitatively backed by your users, you're always re-researching, right? I don't mean, he's not obsessed. Okay, great. This gives me all the freedom to go in and take decisions because of my gut. No, not your gut. Talking to your users qualitatively is what I mean, right? Third, they always question the why. Why are we doing this week? Why are we doing this today? Keeping the team intact, right? They define the process in the team, obviously. Thirdly, they they have some prior product experience. I feel like in today, most of the product companies, especially if you have prior product experience, it definitely helps to be a growth person, right? And lastly, this is something that I have been able to do a lot and I've seen all the time. If you don't have a growth lead already today in your companies, it massively, and I mean massively, helps to have an existing member of the team or company come in, right? And lastly, growth is going to step into the products territory, marketing's territory. You need to have excellent stakeholder management, or you're going to have a lot of fun in your meetings. Yeah. T-shaped marketer. They own essentially the go-to-market strategy for you. They are a generalist with, they have at least one proficiency in a singular channel. Now that singular channel needs to be very critical to your business. If I am, let's say, clear tax, my critical channel is SEO for me. If I am a HubSpot, my critical channel is SEO for me, right? So I'm going to have that kind of a marketer come in, right? Second, they're the biggest customer champion in the room. They understand, they empathize with them the best, right? And they know how to tell a story. I mean, you're a marketer. It doesn't matter if you're a growth marketer, content marketer, any marketer needs to tell a story, right? Highly data driven, and it's excellent if they can query their own data so that they're self-reliant, right? And they do all the stakeholder management from a business point of view, right? All the business stakeholders that you have, maybe performance, maybe organic, they do stakeholder management there. Third is product designer. Now they own the entire user flow of your experiment, your smaller features, your growth hooks, right? The qualities that you're looking for is 70% product designer and 30% visual. They should be able to crack up something small and quick if need be, right? They are the owner of all the qualitative insights that you'll get from customer calls. They are always obviously questioning the why, and they work with the tech team and they make sure that when something is getting pushed out, the entire UAT is done end to end, right? Let's talk about engineer very quickly. You want to look at a full stack engineer. Now, full stack engineers are also unicorns, by the way. According to me, full stack engineers only exist in pockets. So if you don't get one, just hire two engineers. It always makes sense. Otherwise, you're going to have a very one-sided full stack engineer, right? So you need either in front end, you need some kind of a framework because most of the products are built that way. And you want to have a front end engineer who demands tracking across all user points. You don't need them. You don't need a marketer to tell them, hey, we need to track this, right? You need a very different kind of engineer who's very aligned to business, right? Second, backend, essentially what you're trying to do is two qualities, right? I'm not going to go into the coding bit, but the most important bit over here is that they're not afraid to lose their code. A lot of backend engineers are too sensitive about, oh, I've built this, but it didn't go live, or we are now moving on. So you need to make sure that they're the folks who don't really care about losing code, right? They're essentially also the folks who are not shy in using third-party tools to ship fast and then build later. Cool. And product analyst, extremely critical. This is my first person who I kind of get into the growth team. They all the instrumentation, meaning all the tracking data points, right? They understand the pulse of the product, every single thing, where what is happening. The first thing that the product analyst in my team does is automates all dashboards for every single team member, for the engineers, for the designer, for the marketer, so that then they are not becoming a query puller. They're actually analyzing stuff. And if that doesn't happen, they're always going to keep creating dashboards, right? He or she are the ones that everyone will keep truthful. If someone's like, hey, we should do this experiment, like, why? This data doesn't show that way, right? They own the growth modeling, and they make simple to complex model work, right? Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to summarize today's talk very quickly. We spoke about growth hacking. We understood why is it so popular, because you have amazing numbers. These are like these really sexy numbers, around 12 million users got with this hack. Oh, wow. But it's potato chips. It's that burger that you don't need, and it's not going to make you full. It's not nutritious. Why should we move away from hacking? Because it's a moonshot thing, folks, right? If you have, I'm not saying never hack your way to growth. If you're getting it, take it. But obsessing over it even a little bit is very wrong. It's like cheat day. You can have a cheat day, but you can't just have one day where you're eating good food, right? Second is, how do you look at growth? We looked at everything from onboarding, acquisition, engagement, retention, monetization. And you need a team, a growth team that will prioritize across the several growth levers to actually build growth for you. Yes? Cool. All right. That's all, folks, for today's 35 minutes about why growth hacking is dead. I hope this was useful to you at least a little bit. I know it's a weekday. I know it's right after work. So I hope this wasn't just another Zoom fatigued meeting for you. If you want to learn more about me or GrowthX, just scan the QR code and you'll be able to find more links about today's session as well. Or you can find me on growthx.club. Yeah, cool. Awesome, Manasa. I think we can let it sit in and we can take some questions now. Just a quick understanding about the questions, folks. I would love to answer questions specifically around g- growth, right? So when I say talk about growth, you just need to give me some context about your problem. And that, hey, let's talk about a problem statement around you're having drop offs in onboarding. So you'll be like, hey, I have this product. In this product, I have in this screen I'm having some drop offs. This is what I've done for it. What's your approach? Right, some context will help everyone get the best out of the question. So please start typing those questions in so that Manasa can help us take those answers. And they are, and if you're already convinced about growth hacking is dead, then perfect, we have an early meeting to call off.
Okay, I think most of the audience, at least on LinkedIn, wanted access to that framework that you actually put through. So a lot of them were looking forward to see if you would be okay with sharing that. I think that is up to you. You could
Sure, these are pretty common frameworks. Let me see what I can do about
okay.
sharing that. Just follow
Yes,
my
maybe
page.
they
I'll
can
probably
also
create a post this session and share some insights.
exactly. Maybe they could reach out to you and pick it up from there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we have not got any questions. Please, this is to the audience. Please feel free to put it on the comments. Like I told you at the beginning itself, we'll be able to pick it up and UD will be answering those questions. So it's open for you guys to put it through. Okay, so one of the questions we have already got is can like does growth hacking need a lot of patience?
So growth definitely needs patience. Hacking doesn't, right? You just put something, you Google top growth hacks, you get 10 copy paste answers around pop-ups and banners, and that's how to do. But uh, growth hacking doesn't need patience, and that's why we do it. We like things fast and easy, and hacking is just fits that bill.
So this is something I see a lot, right? Not as something to call anybody out, but we see a lot of people post saying that they are growth hackers. They are growth hackers. So, do they just about find the shortcuts to growth, or do they do anything more?
So I wouldn't comment about what everyone is doing on LinkedIn, but what I've seen, my experience with growth hacking is that term, right? When you associate yourself, your company's growth with hacking, you're essentially putting yourself in the same bucket as saying, I'm going to do short term things to acquire users. Not even user, actually, acquire some leads, even, right? And if you understand your company's growth, like remember the entire framework that we looked at, you cannot drive your company's growth through pop-ups and leads, right? So if someone is promising to hack themselves to growth, then good for them. But in my experience, if you look at the entire plethora of stuff and levers that are needed in product and growth, it's just not possible. You need to build a team. You don't need to have a team from day one, but you need to have a team, at least set it up and get it the team running in the next 6 to 12 months, right?
Agreed. Agreed. So the questions are pouring in right now. So Akansha asks, too many marketing gimmicks irritate our customers. So what is the right amount of marketing?
All right. So Akansha, the the job of marketing, for at least for me, right, is to storytell what value it drives to your customers. Meaning, what's the job to be done for your customer, and how your product kind of delivers on that promise. It's a craft of storytelling. Now, when you say too many gimmicks are marketing gimmicks are irritating our customers, that means you are essentially communicating in a singular pitch all the time in the same way. Let me talk about like an annoying friend or an annoying ex girlfriend or a boyfriend that we had. Remember those folks who would just keep irritating and annoying us, the same message again and again. You hate them. Maybe you're sounding like that. right? So you need to figure out, you need to take a step back, you need to figure out what your customers really want, if they're even your ideal customers, because and then communicate in a healthy manner to make them understand the value prop of your this thing, right? Marketing irritating is it's a red signal, it's a red flag, by the way. Cool.
Yes. So, like I told you, a lot of questions. So, Asli asks, I have a mobile app soon to be live.
Mhm.
There are like so many things to do in terms of growth, how to prioritize, how early I should structure the overall growth strategy in every subsection of growth.
Hmm.
So, she asks how to prioritize and how early should she structure the overall growth
Got it.
strategy in every subsection.
Interesting question. So I think prioritization is a daily problem, Asli. So if you said that you have a mobile app soon to be live, right? And there are so many things to do in terms of growth. If my assumption is right, if you're just about to launch right now, the three things I would focus on are: number one, making sure, if let's say you get 1,000 app installs and 1,000 user logins, let's say for example you're talking to at least 100 of the people who are installing your app, understanding what their experience is, if what the promise of your product is, and is it delivering that. I am not going to focus on growth at all at this point, to be honest with you. It's like meeting someone and saying let's get married. You don't want to do that, right? You want to understand them, you want to get to know them. That's what's happening with your product. You're making sure before you scale, right? Before you scale up, you want to make sure that all the things are well, your product is delivering value, right? Once you have product market fit, Asli, then in that case, let's assume that question, it would be a very, you would have at least some instances of prioritization. But the way I look at prioritization is this, okay? My simple framework is, for this quarter, what is the one or two things that's going to give me 80% of results, and I'm always going to prioritize that. That's my general Pareto rule framework, right? I hope that answer helps.
Yes. So, we have a question. Can you set targets for your growth team?
Mhm.
If you can, then how?
Can you set targets? I am assuming you are part of the growth team.
Yes.
So if that's so, I think the question is coming more from, hey, I'm part of a growth team. Can I? How can I contribute more towards setting the targets? Right. So I think the first thing to do there, right? One is threefold approach. Number one, understand what your number one North Star metric of your company is. Right. Take a step in your CEO's shoes and see what is the burning issue there. From that part, try to understand internally what is the growth team can affect there, right? Now in that place or in that lever, let's say you want to get more orders this month, and there is a part of ownership that the growth team owns that can affect this in a massive way. If this is not set in the growth team starter, you can make a build a case with that North Star metric in place, right? The way I always approach around targets, and if the question is more so around, if my targets are too big, how can I lower them? Then you need to basically essentially show where you were, what you're doing, what are the different things you're going to do, and where you're going to lead to, right? Your targets might not change, but you, at least the intimation that, hey, this is where I'm projecting to go, right? And every single week, let's have a sync up to tell you what all I'm doing and where all we are reaching, right? That typically helps a lot with stakeholders in my experience. Cool.
Absolutely, UD. So, Vaibhavi says, us in a SaaS B2B product, we are looking at a conversion of visiting the website and then requesting for a product demo. People do visit the web page, but it is getting very difficult to get them to register for the demo. Any suggestions?
Cool. So this problem statement, right, is essentially, hey, I have three things to look at. Number one, visitors to demo visit conversion is dropping. How do I increase it? That's the problem statement. There are three things you want to look at. Number one, if it's dropping, right, or if it's getting hard, is let me assume it's dropping. First of all, you look at the users that are coming through. Has the channels in which you're acquiring users changed? The first thing that I would look at, right? If that's changed, then you'll want to deep dive into that. Second, is there any specific campaigns that you were running before and now that you're not running, right? That's the second thing I look at from a user point of view. Third, I try to understand if there is any seasonality based in my product. Like a lot of times in B2B cases, there are seasonal products, like for example, payroll software. You'll probably only upgrade once in every year, right? And that's the season time when you'll have a lot of demos in, right? Now, if all of these are still same, then and only then would I go into solutioning. And the way I would solution this is very simple. I will talk to all the people who took the demo, right? And when they took the demo, I'll speak to them. Once I speak to them, I'll try to understand what are the best parts about the demo that they liked. Once I have established that, what I'll try to do is I'll make sure how I can modularize the demo and show it to my website visitors before them even asking for it, because these are all the good things that the demo has been able to provide. That's how I would look to experiment. Essentially, the framework I'm trying to use is what's worked before. Can I modularize that, and can I give that value prop sooner rather than later? Now, this can also mean removing the form fields. This can mean multiple things, right? But first, start with why this is happening. Yeah, cool. All right.
Yes. So Eamon asks, what would you say is the role of creativity in driving growth?
All of it. The role of creativity in everything that we do. I think we need to be creative while cooking. We need to be creative while working. The role of creativity is massive, man, in growth. In general, I think it's a very broad question, but let me give you an example about creativity and growth, right? Most of the times, growth is looked at from a point of view that, hey, the growth lead will make all the experiments and give all the ideas. The fundamental thing that you want to move away from all the growth teams that I've been part of, right? I make sure that my ideas are only 1%, and my engineers, designers, marketers, support, everyone in the team are giving 99% of the ideas, and I'm just prioritizing. So creativity really thrives in a group. So that's how I look at it, and 100% the role of creativity is there in growth, man, in everything, to be honest.
Absolutely. So Sekat asks, how's growth hacking different from digital marketing?
So first of all, growth hacking is different from everything. It's just short-term copy paste stuff that you'll do from Google. But let's assume you asked about growth marketing and digital marketing. Fundamentally, digital marketing is a larger subset of everything today that we do online, right? All the marketing that we do is digital today. So your event marketing, everything comes under digital, right? But pure play digital in today's terms is now becoming SEO, paid, social media, right? These primarily focus or have levers or have the ownership per se to acquire users and to maximum convert them on the landing page. That's where the job ends. Growth marketing, however, looks at the user from the beginning. Their goals are not towards to acquire users, their goals are towards revenue, or their goals are towards active users. What that means is they need to acquire, onboard them, they need to engage them properly, and then they need to retain them as well, right? So it's entirely the entire spectrum of growth. Hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. So Rajneesh asks, what would be the best approach to design KPI for the growth team? Do you have some framework for that too?
Okay, and this other follow up. This is for an organization who did do anything related to growth. The team is new. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming, how do you start? Okay, very good questions. If you're just starting to build a growth team, three things that I do. First of all, especially in your own company, what I would do is I would try to understand the background of where the company wants to grow in the next 2 to 3 years. Okay, fundamentally, for that, take a step back for these things to happen. Okay, don't think about your role, don't think about anything. Just try to think about, if we need to go from X to Y, what are the different things that need to happen futuristically that not happening today. Operational problems, team stakeholder problems are not it, right? Step away from those. I then list down all the high level problem statements that are going to come, or challenges, if solved, will help us get to here, right? Out of those problems, then what I do is I try to see what are the parts that are not completely owned by a singular team. Okay. This is better if you're in a larger company, because everyone already has ownership, everyone already has some part that they're owning. You don't want to step into too many toes too often. What I do is I try to see a white space that is important, and that's also untouched. If you're in a very new company, let's say less than 50 people, then it's even better, right? Because there are so many problem statements that are unsolved. I choose a medium to large problem statement. After I have that, then what I do is I create an entire document of a year and a half long roadmap of what I would solve for. This is very important. If you can't think of a year and a half roadmap, don't think of starting a growth team. Okay. Once you have that in, then you need, okay, this is how what will happen in the 30, 60, 90 days. If we are successful, we hire this. If we are successful, we hire this. That's how I plan out my growth team in a new company. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that was pretty elaborate. So Seket, another question from Seket. How does the growth hack impact the B2C framework sales?
How does the growth hack the
Impact. How does growth hack? Okay,
uh,
growth hacking impact B2C framework sales.
okay, so let's assume Grammarly is here and it corrects it to be as how does growth hacking impact sales. I think there are some growth teams that are purely in sales. I personally do not have experience in sales, Sekat, even though I started my journey in sales. To be honest, my first job was sales. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer that question. I'm not a salesperson.
Absolutely, we can skip that. So Kamalika asks, brand building versus growth hacking. Which one would you choose for your new startup and why?
So brand building versus growth, right? So first
Yes.
of all, I think at each stage of your company, you need different growth levers. In the initial days, it's all about product market fit, and product has a lot more involvement. When you've just launched in the first year, product has a lot more influence on what's going to happen. There, product is the biggest lever for growth. Second stage is your early scaling stage. Now that's the time when all the growth stuff is very valuable, very helpful, right? Is the biggest driver of growth. You'll also have brand, but brand will be at least 30% of a growth lever. 70% will be all the stuff that you'll do around making sure all the features that you have are being adopted by for your audience, right? And the third stage, the mature scaling stage, something like a Netflix, right? There the biggest advantage is of brand building. There the priority is brand, right? So at every single stage I will still focus on brand, but in that percentage, lowest during the beginning, right, on purely brand marketing, right? Second is I would focus a little bit more, and third is the one where I would focus at the maximum. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. I think we have reached the end of the session. Sorry, questions.
Okay, perfect.
We have got quite a few great questions actually. So if any of the audience who's watching us wants to ask any more questions before we close, anywhere, be it on YouTube or Facebook as well as LinkedIn. So we see the maximum, I think, engagement coming in from LinkedIn. So anybody else on our Facebook as well as our YouTube channel, please feel free to drop in your questions.
And
Okay,
if you can't
one.
think of any, it's fine. You can just DM me directly. I'll be happy
Yes,
to answer.
yes. I think they could do that if they wanted the framework also from your end. So that's
Yes.
something they could do. Okay, one question: uh, how to work on growth market while maintaining? Sorry, how to growth hack while maintaining price point? Is price point and is price and growth hacking anywhere related? Can you
So
please talk
pricing
about
is
that?
part of monetization, and when you're thinking of growth, growth definitely has monetization in it, right? Let me ask a question. Pre-COVID, if you were living in, let's say, a Bangalore, while going to your office, you're not going to think twice before booking an Ola, normal Ola, no share, right? Because you need to get there fast. It's 140 rupees, but it's worth it. When you're coming back, you'll rather take a Ola share, right? Now that's called perceived value, the perceived value of your product. So it's a large topic in itself, but growth definitely has a lot of influence in monetization. I'll end it there.
Sure. I think I'm just going to see if we have anything on. I know we don't have any questions on Facebook, so let me just check if anything has come up on YouTube. But otherwise, I think we can close. But
Yeah,
in
I
the
think it's
meanwhile, would you like to give some closing points maybe around this?
Yeah, I think my closing points is just two. I think the way you want to think about growing your company or the role that you're in, right? If it's either your own career, right, that you're trying to accelerate, or the company that you're trying to scale, the fundamental thing to do is to really think about more midterm and long term stuff, right? Our mind naturally draws towards short term things. Like, just imagine every single time that we have 10 seconds, we take this thing up, right? It's a
Yes.
short term thing that will give us like some relief. That's what hacks do. It doesn't add any value. You can stay away from phone 10 days, you won't even realize it, right? But you'll grow a lot. So have that same approach towards growth as well, to product growth especially, and you'll do wonders. That's my closing thoughts.
Thank you so much, Yudi. I think this was one of the best conversations we have had in a while on UpStart
Thank you.
Live here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for covering right about everything about growth hacking and otherwise. This was a fun conversation, as I already repeated. Um, I think thank you to our audience. You have been a wonderful crowd. Thank you for putting in your questions and making this session so interactive. I realized I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, but you did say my name. So I'm Mansa Pandit. I work as a part of the marketing team, and I take care of the events. And we host these Upstart events quite often. And we would love to see you all on our next session on Tuesday, upcoming Tuesday. We do these sessions every Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can watch us anytime between. You can follow our PayU LinkedIn page. We update all posts related to our events. We do bring in other subject matter experts like UD to talk about probably any topic. Right? We have two co-founders coming in talking about NLP and otherwise. So we have a lot of different speakers coming in to talk about various topics. So you should definitely check us out, follow us on all of these channels, and please do watch our other sessions as well. So thank you, Yudi, once again. This was a fun conversation. I hope everybody is taking care of themselves. We would like to close right now. Have a very good evening and bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.